In this lecture, we are going to discuss gender disorders that is due to the chromosomal aberrations or chromosomal mutations. We have discussed that there are two types of mutation. One is the gene mutation and the second is the chromosomal aberration or chromosomal mutations or chromosomal abnormalities. Both type of mutation results or leads towards different types of genetic disorders. In this lecture, we will focus on the disorders that are due to the chromosomal aberration. A gender disorder is the health problem caused by one or more abnormalities in the genome. Genome में कोई भी abnormality आएगी, that abnormality results in the genetic disorder. It can be caused by a mutation in a single gene, monogenic, or multiple genes, polygenic, or a chromosomal abnormality. There are well over 6,000 known gender disorders, and new gender disorders are constantly being described in medical literature. 6,000 disorders have been known so far. Around 1 in 50 people are affected by a non-single gene disorder, while around 1 in 263 are affected by a chromosomal disorder. We can classify the gender disorders into different categories. Chromosomal abnormalities disorders are the disorders that are due to the chromosomal aberrations. Single gene inheritance disorder, the disorder that is due to the mutation in the single gene. Multifactorial inheritance disorder, a disorder that is due to the multiple genes or polygenic inheritance disorders. And mitochondrial inheritance disorders, the disorder that is due to the gene mutation in the mitochondria. Disorders due to chromosomal abnormalities. Here we will focus on the disorders that will result in the either structural or the numerical aberrations of the chromosome. Alteration of chromosome number and structure are associated with a number of serious human disorders. क्रोमोसोम का नंबर या स्ट्रक्चर दोनों में से किसी एक की तब्दीली की वजह से डिफरेंट डिसऑर्डर्स प्रोड्यूस होते हैं. Non-disjunction in meiosis results in aneuploidy in gametes and any resulting zygotes. जो नॉन डिस्जंक्शन होगी जिसमें आइदर होमोलोगस क्रोमोसोम सेपरेट नहीं होंगे या सिस्टोक्रोमेटिड्स सेपरेट नहीं होंगे, that will result in the abnormal number of chromosome, increase the number of chromosome or decrease the number of chromosomes in either cell. जब वो abnormal cell zygote बनाएंगे उनसे abnormal zygote प्रोड्यूस होगा. These chromosomal alterations are so disastrous to development that the affected embryos are spontaneously aborted long before birth. ये chromosomal alterations इतनी खतरनाक होती हैं कि ये developmental stages में ही miscarriage का बायस बनती हैं. That will result in the spontaneous abortion of the fetus. Some types of aneuploidy appear to upset the genetic balance less than others. कुछ aneuploidy जो क्रोमोसोम का नंबर जिससे चेंज होगा वो जेनेटिक बैलेंस को डिविएट करेगा. Where individuals with certain aneuploid condition can survive to birth and beyond, जिसमें क्रोमोसोम का नंबर चेंज होगा वो ऑर्गेनिजम्स सर्वाइव तो करेंगे लेकिन with defects, with abnormality. These individuals have a set of traits, a syndrome, characteristics of the type of aneuploidy. वो individuals जो defective genetic balance के साथ या जो defective genes के साथ survive करेंगे उनमें different types of syndrome appear होंगे. That syndrome depends on the type of aneuploidy. Either उसमें number of chromosome decrease हुआ, either number of chromosome increase हुआ या chromosome delete हुआ और translocate हुआ. Depend करता है type of the aberration पे. उसकी बेस पे there are different types of syndrome appear in the individual. Gender disorders caused by aneuploidy can be diagnosed before birth by fetal testing. We can diagnose the aneuploidy before the birth in the fetal, during the fetal life, as we discussed in the diagnosis of the chromosomal aberration in the previous lecture. 1 in 150 babies is born with the chromosomal disorders, and disorder occur from the abnormality that happens when the egg or sperm was developing. Disorders caused by the numerical altered chromosome are disorder caused by numerical aberrations. Down syndrome, trisomy 21, Edward syndrome, trisomy 18, Patio syndrome, trisomy 13, Turner syndrome, that is the monosomic condition, X जीरो सिंड्रोम या एक्स नॉट सिंड्रोम, लाइन फिल्टर क्लीन फिल्टर सिंड्रोम, एक्स वाई वाई और ट्रिपल एक्स syndrome. इसमें जो डाउन सिंड्रोम, एडवर्ड सिंड्रोम और पटायो सिंड्रोम में these are the autosomal disorders, while the Turner syndrome and the Klinefelter syndrome are the sex-linked disorders. Starting with the Down syndrome. Down syndrome is also called the trisomy 21 because in trisomy in Down syndrome the chromosome 21 is present in the triplet 2 and plus 1. Down syndrome is usually the result of an extra chromosome 21, so that each body cell has total of 47 chromosome instead of 46. Normally 46 chromosome होने चाहिए, लेकिन ट्राइसोमी कंडीशन में चूंकि 21 chromosome excess में है, extra है, that's why it is trisomy 21 and the total chromosome are the 47. Because the cells are trisomic for chromosome 21, Down syndrome is often called trisomy 21. इसमें 21 chromosome जो है वो ट्रिपलेट में मौजूद है, that's why it is also called trisomy 21. Down syndrome affects approximately 1 out of every 830 children born. 830 बच्चों में से एक जो बच्चा है वो डाउन सिंड्रोम से अफेक्ट हो सकता है. Down syndrome after trisomy 21, the 21 chromosome is present in the triplet. The other all chromosomes are present in normal. Down syndrome is characterized by facial features. Facial features are abnormal, short statures, कद छोटा होगा, correctable heart defects. Heart defects are present but can be corrected. Developmental delays, small chin, slanted eyes, poor muscle tone, hypotonia. A flat nasal bridge, a single crease of the palm, a protruding tongue due to small mouth. Protruding tongue mean जो tongue होगी वो बाहर की तरफ निकली होगी. A flat and the wide face, short neck, excessive joint flexibility, extra space between big toe and the second toe, abnormal patterns on the fingertips and short fingers. These are different characteristics that are characterized by the Down syndrome. A person or the child having a Down syndrome or trisomy 21 exhibits all these types of features. ये जो फीचर्स हैं जरूरी नहीं है तमाम में मौजूद हों, लेकिन नॉर्मली these features are present. Facial features are abnormal, small chin, slanted eyes. These eyes, it is also characterized the Down syndrome. Extra space between the finger toes characterize the Down syndrome. Complications of Down syndrome. Individuals with the Down syndrome have an increased chances of developing leukemia, that's a type of cancer, white blood cancer, and Alzheimer's disease. As the immune system is not functioning properly, that's why it leads to different types of the infections. Almost all males and about half of the females with Down syndrome are sexually underdeveloped and sterile. Immune disorders. Because the abnormalities in their immune systems, people with Down syndrome are at increased risk of developing autoimmune disorders. Some forms of cancer and infectious diseases are common because the immune system are not functioning properly. There is no strong defense against different types of foreign agents. Gastrointestinal defects. Gastrointestinal abnormalities occur in some children with Down syndrome and may include abnormalities of the intestine, esophagus, trachea, and anus. The risk of developing digestive problems such as gastrointestinal blockage, heartburn, gastroesophageal reflux, or celiac disease may be increased. Gastrointestinal diseases are very common in the Down syndrome patients that mainly affect the esophagus, trachea, anus, and other GIT disturbances. Obesity. People with Down syndrome have a greater tendency to be obese compared with the general population. Obstructive sleep apnea. Obstructive sleep apnea is the most important character of the Down syndrome. It is a condition in which the person breathing temporarily stops while asleep. Sleeping दौरान जो सांस है वो कुछ देर के लिए बंद हो जाती है. This condition is called sleep apnea. Other problems associated with the Down syndrome may also be associated with the other health. Down syndrome may also be associated with the other health conditions, including endocrine problems, dental problems, seizures, ear infections, and hearing and vision problems. People with a Down syndrome on average have a lifespan shorter than normal. Most with the proper medical treatment live to middle age and beyond. Normally जो lifespan short होता है लेकिन medication के साथ the people may live to middle age and beyond. The frequency of Down syndrome increases with the age of mother, while the disorder occurs in just 0.04% of the children born to women under age 30. अगर एज वुमेन एज under 30 है, chances of Down syndrome is very less, 0.04%. The risk climbs to 0.92% for mothers at age 40 and is even higher for older mothers because it mainly leads towards the age of the eggs or ova. That's why when the mother age exceeds that, the risk of the Down syndrome also increases. The second syndrome or the disorder due to the chromosomal aberration or the numerical aberration is the Edwards syndrome. Edwards syndrome is also called trisomy 18 because it has the chromosomal condition that is associated with many parts of the body having extra 18 chromosome. Individuals with trisomy 18 often have slow growth before birth, intrauterine growth retardation, and low birth weight. Affected individuals may have heart defects and abnormalities of other organs that develop before birth. Heart defects are very common, and other organs development are also found in the Edwards syndrome. Other features of trisomy 18 are the Edwards syndrome include a small, abnormal shaped head, small jaw and mouth. हेड छोटा होगा, जात भी छोटे होंगे, माउथ भी छोटा होगा, and clenched fist with the overlapping fingers. These are the clenched fist or with overlapping fingers. The child is suffering from the Edwards syndrome. Head is small, mouth is small, all the characteristics shown for Edwards syndrome. Edwards syndrome have trisomy 18. Most babies with Edwards syndrome have feeding difficulties, breathing difficulties, intellectual disabilities, abnormal growth and development, unusual hand and feet with overlapping fingers, and webbed toys. Due to the presence of several life-threatening medical problems, many individuals with trisomy 18 die before birth or within their first month. या तो वो बिफोर मंथ से ही डाई हो जाते हैं या विद इन few months after the birth because of different types of complications. 5-10% of children with this condition live past their 5th year, and these children often have severe intellectual disability. 5-10% can pass 5-10 years but having intellectual disability. Trisomy 18 occurs in about 1 in 5,000 live-born infants. It is more common in pregnancy, but many affected fetuses do not survive to term, although women of all ages can have a child with trisomy 18. The chance of having a child with this condition increase as women gets older. तमाम एज की women में this type of trisomy is common. Having this type of child having trisomy 18 is common, but the chances will increase with the increase in the age. Petain syndrome. Number third syndrome is the Petain syndrome. Petain syndrome is a serious rare genetic disorder caused by having an additional copy of chromosome 13 in some or all of the body cells. It is also called trisomy 13. All the chromosomes are in normal diploid, but the chromosome 13 present in the triploid or in the 3. That's why it is called trisomy 13 or Petain syndrome. This chromosomal condition associated with several intellectual disability and physical abnormalities in many parts of the body. Trisomy 13 is characterized by the heart defects, problem in the heart, brain and spinal cord abnormalities, very small or poorly developed eyes, microphthalmia, extra fingers or toys, opening in the lip or cleft lip, with or without an opening in the roof of the mouth, cleft palate, weak muscle tone, hypotonia. The most important characters that can differentiate the Peteau syndrome from the others are the cleft lip, or the cleft palate, and the microphthalmia. These are this is the extra finger, most important character. Eyes are poorly developed eyes are microphthalmia, and the cleft lip, clenched hands with overlapping fingers. These are the important characteristics of the Peteau syndrome. Many infants with a trisomy 13 die within their first days or weeks of life. They cannot survive because of their different types of complications. Only 5 to 10% of children with this condition live past their first year. Very small percentage, only 5 to 10% can survive for the first year. Those children who do survive past 1 year of life are typically severely disabled. जो 1 साल तक जिंदा रहेंगे उनमें different types of problems होंगे, disability होंगे with intellectual disability, seizures and psychomotor issues. The brain often does not divide into two halves. This is known as holoprosencephaly. Holoprosencephaly is a condition in which the brain does not divide into two halves in Peteau syndrome. Trisomy 13 occurs in about 1 in 16,000 newborns. Although women of any age can have a child with trisomy 13, the chance of having a child with this condition increases as a woman gets older. तीनों conditions में Down syndrome में भी, Edward syndrome में भी और Peteau syndrome में, तीनों में जो chances of occurrence हैं, जो risk factor है वो age of the woman है. जितना woman older होगी उतना chances of the syndrome ज़्यादा होंगे. Treatment of Peteau syndrome focuses on the particular physical problems with which each child is born. There are different types of problems associated with different types of child or with different types of birth. Surgery may be necessary to repair heart defects or cleft palate, lip and the cleft palate. Surgery से repair हो सकते हैं cleft lip और cleft palate. Turner syndrome, it is a monosomic condition, a female having only single X chromosome. It is a sex linked or sex related disorder. Normal female have two X chromosome. When they possess only one X chromosome, this condition is called Turner syndrome. Normally दो होंगे, जब एक chromosome miss होगा, this condition is called Turner syndrome. Turner syndrome is a chromosomal condition that affects development in females. The most common feature of Turner syndrome is short stature, which become evident by about age 5. 5 year की एज में ये evident हो जाता है. जो फीमेल होती है उसका जो कद होता है बहुत छोटा रह जाता है. All chromosomes are normal, but this sex chromosome, that is also called the allosome, having only single X chromosome is present. The second X chromosome is lost. There is no second chromosome. Loss of second sex chromosome leads to the X0 condition, and this X0 condition is called monosomy or Turner syndrome. An early loss of ovarian function, ovarian hypofunction or premature ovarian failure is also very common in the Turner syndrome. The ovaries develop normally at first. पहले तो normal develop होती हैं, but egg cells that are oocytes usually die prematurely and most ovarian tissues degenerates before birth. जो ovarian tissue होते हैं वो birth से पहले ही degenerate हो जाते हैं. Many affected girls do not undergo puberty unless they रिसीव हार्मोन थेरापी. जब तक उनको हार्मोन थेरापी ना दी जाए वो प्यूबर्टी तक नहीं पहुंचती. एंड मोस्ट आर अनएबल टू कंसीव और दे आर अनफर्टाइल. A small percentage of females with Turner syndrome retain normal ovarian function through young adulthood. It is a very small percentage that retain the normal ovarian function. Lady having the ovarian syndrome, web-necked, and all other characters of the Turner syndrome. Turner syndrome, low set ears, small jaw bones are small, hypothyroidism, wide chest, short and wide neck is short and wide, having the cardiac problem, swollen hand and feet, problem in the lymph nodes, numerous moles, these are the till. Infertility is the most important character until or unless having the hormone therapy. These are different characters shown by the patient having the Turner syndrome. Klinefelter syndrome. Klinefelter syndrome having different conditions like the XXY, XYY, or triple X. It may also have tetra X or triple XY conditions. The most common are XXY, XYY, or triple X. An extra X chromosome in a male producing XXY. Mainly male have XY, but with the extra X it is XXY. Mainly the sex is of male but having some characters of the female. It occurs approximately once in every 500 to 1000 live male birth. People with this disorder called Klinefelter syndrome. इस किस्म के डिसऑर्डर को क्लेनफील्ड सिंड्रोम कहते हैं. हैविंग मेल सेक्स ऑर्गन्स बट द टेस्टिस आर एबनॉर्मली स्मॉल एंड द मैन इज स्टेराइल. इवन दो द एक्स्ट्रा एक्स इज इनएक्टिवेटेड, जो एक्स्ट्रा एक्स होगा वो इनएक्टिवेट हो जाएगा. इट विल फॉर्म ए बार बॉडी, बट इन द इनिशियल स्टेजेस, इन इनिशियल फेजेस, इट express itself that leads towards the some characters of the female. Some breast enlargement and other female body characteristics are common. Affected individuals may have subnormal intelligence. Breast enlargement, that is the gynecomastia, decreased muscle mass, decreased bone density, a reduced amount of facial and body hair, the characters that are similar with the female. Normally a male having the XY chromosome, but in the Klinefelter syndrome it is associated with the XXY. XXY is a trisomic condition but linked with the sex chromosome XXY. About 1 of every 1000 male is born with an extra Y chromosome. 1 of every 1000 male is born with the extra Y chromosome. The condition is called XYY. And this these type of males having the criminal tendencies. These males undergo normal sexual development and do not exhibit any well-defined syndrome, but tend to be taller than average. इनकी जो height होती है वो normal से ज़्यादा होती है. Female with a trisomy triple X, which occurs once in approximately 1000 live female births, are healthy and have no unusual physical features. Other than being slightly taller than average, triple X females are at risk for learning disabilities but are fertile. This type of condition, triple X condition, is called super female, and this type of condition, XYY, is called super male. Variants of the Klinefelter syndrome. Several conditions resulting from the presence of more than one extra sex chromosome in each cell are sometimes described as variants of Klinefelter syndrome. When there are more than one X chromosome, it may be the 2X extra or the 2Y extra chromosome, or 3X extra chromosome. This type of the Klinefelter syndrome is called variants of Klinefelter syndrome. These conditions include 48, triple XY syndrome, 48 double XYY syndrome, and 49 tetra XY syndrome. Like Klinefelter syndrome, these conditions affect male sexual development and can be associated with learning disabilities and problems with speech and language development. These are the consequences of the variants of Klinefelter syndromes, like learning disabilities, problems with speech and language development. However, the features of these disorders tend to be more severe than those Klinefelter syndrome and affect more parts of the body. The features of these disorders are severe than the normal Klinefelter syndrome, and the parts of the body that are affected by the various Klinefelter syndromes are more than the normal Klinefelter syndrome. That was all about the disorder due to the numerical aberration. Now we are going to discuss the disorder caused by the structurally altered chromosome or structural aberration disorder. These disorders include the Cri-du-chat syndrome, Angelman syndrome, Prader-Willi syndrome, Wolf-Hirschhorn syndrome, Jacobson syndrome, Williams syndromes, chronic myelogenous leukemia, and Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease type 1A. Cri-du-chat syndrome. Many deletions in human chromosome, even in a heterozygous state, cause several problems. One such syndrome, known as Cri-du-chat, that is a cry of the cat, results from specific deletion in chromosome 5. जब chromosome 5 पे P region डिलीट होगा उससे जो डिसऑर्डर प्रोड्यूस होगा, दैट टाइप ऑफ डिसऑर्डर इज कॉल्ड क्राई-डू-चैट सिंड्रोम. Normal chromosome having P and Q region, the 5 this chromosome 5, when the P region is less or deleted from the chromosome 5, this type of condition is called Cri-du-chat syndrome. A child born with this deletion is severely intellectually disabled, has a small head with unusual facial features, and has a cry that sounds like the mewing of a distressed cat. That's what is called Cri-du-chat syndrome, because the cry sounds of the baby is like the mewing of a distressed cat. Such individuals usually die in infancy or early childhood. A child having a Cri-du-chat syndrome. Other features of the Cri-du-chat syndrome are small head size, microcephaly, widely spaced eyes, hypertelorism, low birth weight, weak muscle tone, hypertonia in infancy. Other characteristics may include feeding difficulties, delays in walking, hyperactivity, scoliosis. It is mainly with the scoliosis concerned with the nerves or vertebral column, and significant retardation. A small number of the children are born with the serious organ defects and other life-threatening medical conditions. Angelman syndrome, a rare congenital disorder characterized by mental disability and tendency to jerky movement, caused by the absence of certain genes normally present on the copy of chromosome 15 inherited from the mother. क्रोमोसोम 15 में सेगमेंट कुछ जीन्स जब डिलीट होंगे, the condition leads towards the Angelman syndrome. Symptoms of the Angelman syndrome includes the seizure, that's a sudden uncontrolled electrical disturbance in the brain, developmental delay, strabismus, that is abnormal alignment of eyes, and sleep disturbance, ataxia, that is a lack of the muscles control, excessive happiness, microcephaly, hypermotoric behavior. These are the conditions of the Angelman. देर जरूरत से ज़्यादा बंदा खुश है, और उसके अलावा माइक्रोसेफेली, शॉर्ट हेड, lack of muscle control, sleep disturbance. These are different conditions or characteristics of the Angelman syndrome. Prader-Willi syndrome. Prader-Willi syndrome is a genetic disorder caused by a loss of function of specific genes on chromosome 15. In newborns, symptoms include weak muscles, poor feeding, and slow development. Beginning in childhood, those affected become constantly hungry, which often leads to obesity and type 2 diabetes. Mild to moderate intellectual impairment and behavioral problems are also typical of this disorder. Often affected individuals have a narrow forehead, small hands and feet, short height, light skin and hair, and are unable to have children. Sterile. Sterile. About 74% of cases occur when part of the father's chromosome 15 is deleted. In another 25% of cases, the affected person have two copies of chromosome 15 from their mother and none from their father. Wolf-Hirschhorn syndrome. Wolf-Hirschhorn syndrome is a genetic disorder that affects many parts of the body. Von Hirschhorn syndrome (WHS) is caused by missing piece or deletion of genetic material near the end of short p arm of chromosome 4, that is 4p minus. The major features include a characteristic facial appearance, delayed growth and development, intellectual disability, low muscle tone, that is hypertonia, and seizures. Other features of this disorder may include skeletal abnormalities, congenital heart defects, hearing loss, urinary tract abnormalities, and structural brain abnormalities. The size of the deletion varies among people with WHS, and studies suggest larger deletion tend to result in more severe features. जितनी ज़्यादा deletion ज़्यादा होगी, उतने features, उतनी abnormalities ज़्यादा होंगी. Most cases of WHS are not inherited, but some cases are inherited from a parent who does not have WHS. Treatment depends on the symptom, that is supportive therapy. Child suffering from WHS, Wolf-Hirschhorn syndrome. Jacobson syndrome. Jacobson syndrome is a rare chromosomal disorder resulting from deletion of genes from chromosome 11 that includes band of 11q24. The deletion may range from 5 million to 16 million deleted DNA base pairs. The severity of symptoms depends on the number of deletions. The more deletions there are, the more severe the symptoms are likely to be. They have distinctive facial features like the small head, microcephaly, pointed forehead, trigonocephaly, small ears which are low set, widely spaced eye hypertelorism, drooped eyelids, ptosis, broad nasal bridge, abnormally thin upper lips, downturned corners of the mouth, excess skin covering in the inner corners of the eye, that is epicanthal folds. Williams syndrome. Williams syndrome is a rare genetic disorder that affects the child growth, physical appearance, and cognitive development. People who have Williams syndrome have missing genetic material from chromosome 7, including the gene elastin. Chronic myelogenous leukemia (CML). Chronic myelogenous leukemia, it is due to the translocation, or that is the reciprocal translocation between chromosome number 9 and 22. Chromosomal translocations have been implicated in certain cancers, including chronic myelogenous leukemia. This disease occurs when a reciprocal translocation happens during mitosis of cells that will become white blood cells. White blood cells में जब reciprocal translocation होगी तो उन cells में excess division होगी and the cell undergo the leukemia. Leukemia is a cancer of the white blood cell. In these cells, the exchange of large portion of chromosome 22 with a small fragment from the tip of chromosome number 9 produces a much shortened, easily recognized chromosome 22 called the Philadelphia chromosome. Such an exchange causes cancer by activating a gene that leads to uncontrolled cell cycle progression. WBCs की जो cell growth है वो uncontrolled हो जाएगी and their cell undergo the process of the cancer, and this type of cancer is called leukemia. Chromosome number 9 and chromosome number 22 both have exchanged their parts, and this type of translocation is called reciprocal translocation. Translocated chromosome number 9 having the part of chromosome number 22, and chromosome number 22 they are having the part of chromosome number 9. This is called the Philadelphia chromosome. Both have exchanged their parts. These alter the genes and the cell undergo the mutation and results in the cancer. As it is in the white blood cell cancer, that's what is called chronic myelogenous leukemia. Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease type 1A, CMT1A. Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease type 1A is a type of inherited neurological disorder that affects the peripheral nerves. People with this disease experience weakness and wasting atrophy of the muscles of the lower legs beginning in adolescence. Later, they can also have hand weakness and sensory loss. In CMT1A abnormal nerve conduction, studies can be found in babies or toddlers, but the symptoms that are characteristic of the disease may not occur until 20 years of age or later. CMT1A is caused by having an extra copy or duplication of PMP22 gene. It is inherited in an autosomal dominant manner. Treatment for this condition may include physical therapy, occupational therapy, braces and other orthopedic devices. Orthopedic surgery and pain medications are useful in this disorder. The severity and degree of disability varies very much among the affected people. That's all about the chromosome genetic disorder by the chromosomal aberration, both by the numerical aberration and the structural aberration. In the next lecture, we will discuss about the disorder that is due to the gene mutation. It may be the single gene mutation, multiple gene mutation, or mitochondrial gene mutation. Thank you so much.